NBC owner Comcast gatecrashes Fox's takeover of Sky with a $30.7 billion bid. Stocks tumble after the 10-year hits its highest level since 2014. I don't want to hold your hand, and Voom's Mexico City chopper taxi service takes off. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm your host, Joseph Garza. Let's go to today's information. U.S. entertainment giant Comcast has made a $30.7 billion bid for Sky, gatecrashing Rupert Murdoch's takeover attempt for the British and European broadcaster. Comcast on Wednesday said it was offering $12.50 in pounds or $17.45 in dollars a share for the company. The bid represents a 16% premium on the latest offer from Murdoch's 21st Century Fox. Comcast's deal values Sky at $30.9 billion. Sky's board responded by withdrawing its recommendation for investors to approve Fox's December 2016 bid, which has been repeatedly hit by regulatory hurdles. Comcast, which owns TV networks such as E! and NBC, as well as Universal Pictures, first announced plans to make a bid in February. It said the deal represented a strategic opportunity to acquire a leading content and distribution business in the UK and Europe. Sky shares jumped 3% on news of the offer. Murdoch's 21st Century Fox owns 39.1% of Sky, which Murdoch helped found in the 1990s. Murdoch has long coveted the remaining 61%, with a previous £8 billion takeover attempt derailed by the News of the World phone hacking scandal in 2011. 21st Century Fox restarted takeover plans at the end of 2016, but it has repeatedly run up against regulatory hurdles. The UK's competition watchdog said in January that the deal would be against the public interest, giving the Murdoch family what it considered too much control over UK media. Fox has already agreed on paper to sell its stake in Sky to Disney as part of a $52.4 billion package of film and TV assets. When the deal was announced, 21st Century Fox said it remained committed to completing its proposed acquisition of the shares in Sky it doesn't own. In other headlines, U.S. stocks tumbled Tuesday after the closely watched 10-year Treasury yield climbed above 3% for the first time since 2014. Selling in mega-cap tech stocks also put pressure on major indexes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slid more than 2.5% or 620 points, while the benchmark S&P 500 dropped as much as 2%. The comparatively tech-heavy NASDAQ 100 saw deeper weakness, falling more than 2.8% at its intraday low. Perhaps the biggest overhang on investor sentiment on Tuesday was the 10-year breach of 3%, which market experts had pinpointed as a worrisome threshold. The fear is that higher yields will dampen spending as consumers and companies allocate more to repaying debt. The 10-year is a benchmark for mortgage rates. Stock investors in particular are keenly aware of where the 10-year is trading, as it helps inform the Federal Reserve's monetary tightening schedule. Any sign the central bank will raise interest rates faster than expected is viewed as negative for equities, since spikes will theoretically lessen the appeal of stocks. Sure enough, the S&P 500 started falling from its daily highs just 1 minute after the 10-year broke 3%. At the same time, weakness in many of the large tech stocks that have led the 9-year bull market also weighed on major gauges. At the center of the selling was Google's parent company Alphabet, whose better-than-expected quarterly sales were overshadowed by rising expenses and a looming regulatory clampdown. Alphabet declined as much as 5.2%. Other major losers in the tech sector include Micron at 4.6%, Facebook 4.4%, Adobe Systems 4.1%, Salesforce.com 3.7%, and Microsoft at 2.8%. Elsewhere in global equity markets, the Shanghai Composite climbed 2%, while the Stoxx Europe 600 was little changed. In the bond market, the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield rose 4 basis points to 2.95%, just below the 3% level it breached earlier in the day. In other news, Donald and Melanie's hands are once again drawing eyes all over the world after yet another botched attempt at a public display of affection. During a photo op Tuesday on the South Lawn with French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte, cameras recorded the U.S. president attempting to hold his wife's hand. He even wiggled his pinky finger toward her as she moved her hand away and appeared to inhale deeply. Finally, Melania seemed to relent and the couple clasped hands. This isn't the first time they've had an awkward hand-holding interaction in public. In March, ABC News captured footage of Donald Trump running up the stairs to board Air Force One, leaving behind his wife in high heels and a skirt. NBC footage from February 2018 shows a similarly awkward interaction. Melania's hand was underneath her coat, which was draped over her shoulders. Not too long before, it was reported that Trump allegedly had an affair with porn star Stormy Daniels and allegedly paid her to stay quiet about it. And in May 2017, Israeli newspaper Haaretz showed Melania swatting away the president's hand during their visit to Tel Aviv. Hand-holding can be a public demonstration of affection. As for the significance of hand-holding, Dalton Conley, a professor of sociology at Princeton University, told the New York Times in 2006, "It's less about sex than about a public demonstration of coupledom." Interestingly, Prince William and Kate Middleton rarely hold hands in public. The couple is likely following Queen Elizabeth's lead, and the Queen generally doesn't hold hands with her husband in public. Moving on, Voom, a subsidiary of France's Airbus, launched in March in the Mexican capital. This followed the launch of the service last year in Sao Paulo, the second most populous city in the Americas behind Mexico City. In 1 year, Voom has flown more than 4,000 people, and the company's chief executive, Uma Subramanian, said she expects to surpass that during their first year of operations in Mexico. The company is also looking at entering Buenos Aires, Bogota, Guatemala City, and populous Asian capitals next, Subramanian said. Traffic in Mexico City, which has more than 24 million people living in the capital and surrounding metropolitan area, rivals that of Bangkok and Jakarta for some of the world's worst traffic. The company's online application allows customers to book flights in helicopters, and it may associate with Spanish ride-sharing company Cabify, as it has in Sao Paulo, to help customers complete trips on the ground, she said. Helicopters can cross the 30 kilometers between the capital's airport and the Interlomas neighborhood, one of the fastest growing urban centers, in 12 minutes, compared with more than 3 hours in a car during peak hours. Voom is currently offering 3 routes from the airport, but Subramanian said the company plans to increase its offerings. The price for the shortest route, 2,500 Mexican pesos, about $135, is steep, but the company is developing unmanned electric helicopters to allow for lower rates and higher profits, she said. And finally, let's take a look at the markets. The Mexican peso increased 0.0242 or 0.13% to 18.8702 from 18.8460 in the previous trading session. IPC Mexico increased 11 points or 0.02% to 48,058 from 48,047 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you again for staying with us. I'm Joseph Garza. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.